Josh Towers played for four Major League Baseball. Four or three? Three Major League Baseball teams. Toronto, Baltimore, Yankees.
Yeah, three.
And famously, you know where I'm going, gave up Barry Bonds' 747th ding-dong, which is a big moment in Josh's life. First pitcher in Blue Jays history to have a single-digit uniform number as well.
That's my favorite.
Make a little history.
Make a little history.
We had you come up. Your name came up this week on the show. Jason Weingarten was
I like
with us. Oh, he's gambling porn. We were talking about the St. Louis Cardinals. St. Louis Cardinals, who have
brought them up, yeah.
who have had the worst record in the National League, and of course, what an organization from year to year. You don't expect to see that from them, and Jordan Walker had the hitting streak to begin the year, then he slumped, and so they sent him down, which is fine. But the thing we brought up was Willson Contreras, their big free agent signing in the offseason to be the next guy after Yadier Molina was Willson Contreras. It was 5 years. It was $87 million. So he's got half of an offseason, like part of spring training, and then like a minute into the baseball season, right? We're still in early May. They're like, yeah, we don't want you catching for us anymore. So Jason's like, we got to ask Josh about this.
Yeah.
When you see something like that or witness something like that, what is your impression of that? And Jason's specific question was, his speculation is, and you would have a better sense of this than anybody is, doesn't that have to be the pitchers saying to managers or coaches, we got to get rid of this?
That's a good question. No. Yeah, it would. Oh, God, I can only imagine how bad it would have to be.
I love how you're like, it's a good question. No.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking legit, like I walk in to my manager's office and I'm like, yo, Gill's just not getting it done. Yeah. Like, this can't happen. Like, I mean, now I'm turning my back on my teammates who I'm closest with than anybody. Oh, God, it would have to be so bad for us as players to do that. Now, we might recognize stuff for sure, but I'm going to work with you as closely as possible about what I like, what I see, how I want you to set up, how my brain works. Like, you and I are going to work one-on-one so I can get the best version out of you. But no, players wouldn't. I could never see that. Now, it just shows you your homework, right? So what do we do in this whole world, right? What are we doing behind us, right? We're basing a lot of our bets, our thoughts, everything we do on social media, it's all based on offense. I think it really is just based on offense. And I've been saying this my whole life, haven't done it. I don't care if a catcher hits 100. I don't care. As long as he can catch us, we love throwing to him, and his ERA with us is low. I don't care if he ever gets a hit. It does not matter to us.
That's how it used to be, right?
Right. And so I think we've transformed to this era of offense, and he can hit. Ain't no question he can hit. He was batting 3-hole in Chicago, I think, and leading off sometimes. That's great, but you very rarely see catchers that can hit and catch. Look at Yadier Molina's stats, like for his career, right? I mean, the career was forever. He's going into the Hall of Fame. He better be walked into the Hall of Fame. Buster Posey, pretty good hitter in his own right, but look at the Giants as soon as Buster left. Like, it changes everything about the dynamics, and you don't have Yadier Molina, who is not only somebody I trust behind the plate, but the captain of the team, somebody I respect, somebody I look up to, somebody when he says something, I do it. They don't have that anymore. So Contreras is an offensive guy who obviously can't catch very well or doesn't know how to call a game, and that has to change. That's what, if you have pitching, you need a catcher.
So for those who would have the instinct, well, I mean, it's the Cardinals. They're still, the second shortstop. The Brewers are the favorite to win the National League Central, but the Cardinals, despite having the worst record not only in division but in the entire National League, they're second in terms of the betting numbers at DraftKings and everywhere else to win the National League Central. They're plus 380. The instinct for people to say, oh, well, the Cardinals always figure it out. I'm betting the plus 380. What I'm getting is you would be like, slow down on that because Molina might have been the biggest cog in that wheel.
What did the Giants do the first year Buster didn't play?
The first year he didn't play? That was the year after the 107.
Yeah. Right. And then there's this rebuilding phase, right? And so I haven't, like, the Cardinals pitching is the other problem, right? They're very inconsistent. There's a lot of injuries there.
81 and 81 would be your answer, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, well, we never really expected the 100-plus wins either, right? So it's kind of tough, but that's more realistic. The Cardinals pitching is not as consistent, and I think that's more of the issue they need to address. I remember people would say, I probably shouldn't say this on air. I don't know if this is bad. People would always tell me, like, how do you get Greg Zahn to catch you so well? Like, why is Zahn lock in for me? Why does he lock in for you? And because I stroke his ego and because we're friends, right? So like we're friends, but I tell him how great he is and how beautiful he looks and he loves it. That's some of the stuff that we have to do as well, like for each individual guy. And so they have to learn that internal, relationship that they have with those guys. It's tough, but offense isn't going to win. I don't care. Offense alone will not win in our game. I think we've proven that.
Have the rule, has the pitch clock and all the rule changes or going back to old rules appeal to you? What is your stance on the shift being banned?
Yeah, I think it's funny when we move the outfielders, right? I mean, like I always say, that you can Major League Baseball implements rules, and then we are one step ahead of them always with how we break them. I like not having this shift. When I'm throwing my sinker away, it teaches us to pitch to both sides of the plate again. When I'm throwing my sinker away to a lefty, I expect my shortstop to be there to catch that ground ball, right? And it's hard when they're not. So I'm good with that. The pitch clock for me it's how we worked anyways. It's how we were always taught. I know a lot of guys don't, but people who struggle taking too many time in between pitches, they're going to pick that up again. And I think the other thing it'll do, hopefully long-term, was what I'm hoping, so that our game gets improved, is it causes pitchers to think a little bit more instead of just reactionary throw their 98-mile-an-hour fastball and hope that it does well.
What is your reaction as a former pitcher to the new electronic method of a pitcher calling his own game? What were your thoughts on that?
So I know Maddox talked about it. I did it a lot, but how I did it would be like I'd throw a pitch and I'd kind of walk up and grab the pitch. And as soon as I saw the hitter look down or do whatever, he turned his back, I would be like fastball away, or I'd give my catcher, like I'd just kind of do it like you'd see it on TV, but the hitter wouldn't necessarily see it because we called our own game quite often. So on one hand, if the electronic thing is in the right area where it doesn't distract my rhythm and timing, I'm fine. But when I have to go to my glove and start typing it in, I want no part of it, right? And I don't like watching my catcher. So I want old school signs. But if it is to where I can real quick just hit a button because I have a specific pitch in mind and I don't want to mess around and shake to, then I kind of like it.
Here's what I really want to know in our final minute.
Let's go.
As bettors, what is the one thing that you and your experience here at VSiN, just listening to baseball experts, baseball pundits, whatever you want to call them, but those who bet the sport, what's the one thing that you think they get wrong the most consistently?
They don't look at streaks as far as individual players. Like a pitcher can dominate a game. Look at Justin Steele. Look at these guys. Look at Ryan for the Twins. Look at some of these guys that are just very good baseball players. We're going to have a bad game every now and again, but when we get into rhythm, we go. Look at Zach Gallen. Like, we don't think much about the Diamondbacks, but this guy's one of the best in the game. Like, when we get into rhythm, I'm going to have 3-4 games in a row where I'm very, very good. Same thing, when I start to struggle, I'm going to have like 2 or 3 in a row where I start to struggle, and I think that we have to look into consistency of the starting pitcher more than just deep dive into they're 7-2 on Tuesdays. It doesn't mean as much.
Well, yeah, that I think we do, but
yeah.
Streaks are a thing is what you're
for sure saying. Yeah, we're so robotic in how we perform, and so our brain just kind of shuts down or it gets overly thought processed, which we don't want.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.